Question 1. The audit findings indicate a pattern of drivers signing off on pre-trip inspections for combination vehicles without conducting a full air leakage test, relying instead on the air pressure gauge reading at the end of the inspection. What is the most appropriate professional response to ensure compliance with U.S. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR, regarding vehicle safety? Option A. Instruct drivers to only perform the air leakage test if they notice any unusual noises or a significant drop in air pressure during their initial walk-around. Option B. Implement mandatory, documented air leakage tests as part of every pre-trip inspection and retrain drivers on the specific procedures and regulatory requirements for this critical safety check. Option C. Advise drivers to pay closer attention to the air pressure gauge during their pre-trip inspection, as a stable reading generally indicates a healthy air brake system. Option D. Update the inspection checklist to include a note that drivers should visually inspect airlines for obvious damage, which is often sufficient to detect major leaks. The correct answer is B. Implement mandatory, documented air leakage tests as part of every pre-trip inspection, and retrain drivers on the specific procedures and regulatory requirements for this critical safety check. Explanation. The audit findings indicate a recurring issue with incomplete pre-trip inspections, specifically concerning the air brake system. This scenario is professionally challenging because it directly impacts vehicle safety and regulatory compliance, potentially leading to severe consequences such as accidents, cargo damage, and legal penalties. The driver's responsibility extends beyond simply operating the vehicle. It includes ensuring its mechanical integrity before each trip. The correct approach, which involves a thorough and documented pre-trip inspection of the air brake system, including a visual check of all components, a functional test of the service and parking brakes, and an air leakage test, represents best professional practice. This aligns directly with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR, in the United States, specifically Part 396, which mandates that commercial motor vehicles be inspected daily and that any defects be repaired before the vehicle is operated. A documented inspection provides evidence of compliance and a commitment to safety. An incorrect approach would be to rely solely on the vehicle's warning lights or audible alarms to indicate air brake issues. This is a regulatory failure because the FMCSR require a proactive inspection, not a reactive one. Relying on warning systems alone means potential defects could go unnoticed until they become critical, violating the spirit and letter of the law. Another incorrect approach is to assume the previous driver completed a thorough inspection and to only perform a cursory check. This is an ethical and regulatory failure. Each driver is responsible for their own pre-trip inspection, regardless of previous checks. The FMCSR placed the responsibility on the driver operating the vehicle at the start of their duty period. A third incorrect approach is to only check the air pressure gauge without performing an air leakage test. While the gauge indicates current pressure, it does not reveal if the system is losing air, which is a critical safety defect. This is a failure to conduct a complete and effective inspection as required by regulations, potentially leading to brake failure. Professional decision-making in such situations requires a systematic approach. First, understand the regulatory mandate for pre-trip inspection, FMCSR Part 396. Second, recognize the critical safety implications of the air brake system. Third, implement a standardized, comprehensive inspection checklist that includes all mandated checks, such as the air leakage test. Finally, ensure proper documentation of the inspection to demonstrate compliance and accountability. Question 2. Quality control measures reveal a pattern of drivers rushing through the coupling process to meet tight delivery schedules. During a routine inspection, a driver is observed to be coupling a tractor to a semi-trailer. The driver quickly lowers the trailer support legs, backs the tractor under the trailer, and appears to secure the connection. However, the driver does not perform a thorough visual inspection of the fifth wheel for damage or proper lubrication, nor do they verify the kingpin is fully seated and locked in the fifth wheel mechanism. Additionally, the driver gives a cursory glance to the air and electrical line connections and briefly tugs on the safety chains without confirming their secure attachment. Which of the following actions best represents the correct and safest coupling procedure in this scenario, adhering to all regulatory requirements for commercial driver's license combination vehicles? Option A. After backing the tractor under the trailer and hearing the audible click of the fifth wheel locking mechanism, the driver should perform a thorough visual inspection of the fifth wheel and kingpin, ensure the trailer support legs are fully retracted, and then meticulously connect and test the air and electrical lines, followed by a firm tug on the safety chains to confirm their secure attachment. Option B. Once the tractor is backed under the trailer, the driver should immediately retract the trailer support legs and proceed to connect the air and electrical lines, assuming the fifth wheel has automatically locked the kingpin. Option C. The driver should focus primarily on ensuring the air and electrical lines are connected, as these are the most critical components for trailer operation, and then retract the trailer support legs. Option D. After backing the tractor under the trailer, the driver should ensure the trailer support legs are fully retracted, and then proceed to connect the air and electrical lines, with a quick visual check of the fifth wheel. Correct answer is A. After backing the tractor under the trailer and hearing the audible click of the fifth wheel locking mechanism, the driver should perform a thorough visual inspection of the fifth wheel and kingpin, ensure the trailer support legs are fully retracted, and then meticulously connect and test the air and electrical lines, followed by a firm tug on the safety chains to confirm their secure attachment. Explanation: this scenario is professionally challenging because it requires a driver to make critical safety decisions under pressure, potentially with limited time or resources, while ensuring full compliance with coupling and uncoupling procedures. The driver must not only perform the physical tasks, but also conduct thorough safety checks to prevent accidents, equipment damage, and regulatory violations. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes safety and regulatory compliance above all else. It involves a systematic step-by-step process that addresses all critical components of coupling and uncoupling, including thorough inspections of the fifth wheel, kingpin, trailer support legs, air and electrical lines, and safety chains. This meticulous attention to detail ensures the integrity of the connection, preventing catastrophic failures during transit. Adherence to these procedures is mandated by regulations designed to protect the driver, the public, and the cargo. An incorrect approach that bypasses or inadequately performs any of these safety checks is professionally unacceptable and carries significant regulatory and ethical failures. For instance, failing to inspect the fifth wheel for damage or proper lubrication could lead to premature wear or catastrophic failure of the coupling mechanism, violating regulations concerning vehicle safety and maintenance. Neglecting to ensure the kingpin is properly seated and locked in the fifth wheel could result in the trailer detaching from the tractor, a direct violation of safe operation laws, and a severe ethical breach due to the extreme danger posed to others. Inadequately connecting air and electrical lines, or failing to secure safety chains, can lead to loss of braking or lighting, or trailer separation, all of which are clear violations of federal motor carrier safety regulations and represent a gross disregard for public safety. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a commitment to following established safety protocols without deviation. Drivers must be trained to recognize potential hazards and understand the consequences of shortcuts. When in doubt about any aspect of the coupling or uncoupling process, the driver should stop, reevaluate, consult their manual, or seek assistance from a qualified supervisor or mechanic. This proactive and diligent approach ensures that all safety checks are completed to the highest standard, reflecting a commitment to professional responsibility and regulatory adherence. Question 3. Regulatory review indicates that when a commercial driver operating a tractor-trailer combination vehicle approaches a right turn at a busy urban intersection with multiple lanes and potential pedestrian traffic, a critical aspect of safe maneuvering is managing the trailer's path. Which of the following approaches best adheres to regulatory requirements and professional best practices for executing this turn? Option A. Rely solely on direct forward vision and mirror checks, assuming the trailer's path will be predictable without specific adjustments for off-tracking. Option B. Execute the turn as sharply as possible to minimize the time spent in the intersection, assuming the trailer will naturally follow. Option C. Swing the tractor wide to the left before initiating the right turn, allowing ample space for the trailer to follow the intended path without encroaching on adjacent lanes or curbs. Option D. Accelerate through the turn to maintain momentum and reduce the overall turning duration. Correct answer is C. Swing the tractor wide to the left before initiating the right turn, allowing ample space for the trailer to follow the intended path without encroaching on adjacent lanes or curbs. Explanation: scenario analysis. Navigating a commercial combination vehicle through a tight urban intersection presents significant professional challenges. The sheer size and length of the vehicle, coupled with the limited maneuverability, create a high risk of striking other vehicles, pedestrians, or stationary objects. The driver must possess a profound understanding of the vehicle's turning radius and off-tracking characteristics to avoid collisions. Furthermore, the extensive blind spots inherent in combination vehicles necessitate constant vigilance and the use of mirrors and spotters to ensure the safety of all road users. Misjudging the space required for a turn can lead to property damage, personal injury, and severe regulatory penalties. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a deliberate and controlled execution of the right turn, prioritizing the avoidance of off-tracking. This means anticipating the trailer's path by swinging the tractor wide enough to allow the trailer to follow without encroaching on adjacent lanes or curbs. This strategy directly aligns with Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR, concerning safe operation and the avoidance of hazardous maneuvers. Specifically, it addresses the principles of maintaining control and ensuring the vehicle's movement does not endanger others, as outlined in parts related to safe driving practices. Ethically, it demonstrates a commitment to public safety and responsible operation of a commercial vehicle. Incorrect approaches analysis. Turning too sharply without accounting for the trailer's off-tracking is a direct violation of safe driving practices. This maneuver significantly increases the likelihood of the trailer's rear wheels cutting inward, potentially mounting curbs, striking parked vehicles, or colliding with pedestrians. This failure to manage off-tracking demonstrates a disregard for the physical limitations of the vehicle and the potential hazards it creates, contravening the spirit and letter of regulations requiring drivers to operate their vehicles safely. Attempting the turn at excessive speed, even with some awareness of off-tracking, is also a critical failure. Speed reduces reaction time and magnifies the consequences of any misjudgment. It compromises the driver's ability to make necessary corrections and increases the force of any potential impact. This directly violates regulations that mandate operating at a speed that allows for safe stopping and control under prevailing conditions. Ignoring the blind spots and relying solely on direct forward vision is a dangerous oversight. Combination vehicles have substantial blind areas, particularly to the sides and rear of the trailer. Failing to utilize mirrors, and when necessary, a spotter, means the driver is operating with incomplete situational awareness, creating a high risk of striking unseen objects or individuals. This directly contravenes the regulatory expectation for drivers to maintain a comprehensive awareness of their surroundings. Professional reasoning. Professionals facing this scenario should employ a systematic decision-making process. First, they must thoroughly assess the intersection's geometry and traffic conditions. Second, they must visualize the complete path of both the tractor and the trailer, considering the vehicle's specific turning radius and off-tracking. Third, they should plan their maneuver well in advance, signaling their intentions clearly and early. Fourth, they must execute the turn at a safe, controlled speed, continuously monitoring their mirrors and surroundings. If visibility is compromised or the maneuver is particularly complex, utilizing a spotter is a critical safety measure. This methodical approach, grounded in regulatory compliance and a proactive safety mindset, ensures the most professional and safest outcome. Question 4. The efficiency study reveals that a driver can significantly reduce transit time by slightly exceeding the recommended load balance for a multi-axle trailer, as long as the total gross vehicle weight rating, GVWR, is not surpassed. The driver believes this minor adjustment will not impact vehicle stability or safety. What is the most professional and legally compliant course of action? Option A. Adjust the load to improve efficiency, assuming that the overall GVWR is the only critical weight limit to monitor. Option B. Proceed with the load as adjusted, trusting the driver's experience that minor load balance deviations are acceptable within the overall GVWR. Option C. Conduct a thorough pre-trip inspection to ensure the load is balanced according to manufacturer specifications and within all axle weight limits, even if it means a slight delay. Option D. Inform dispatch about the potential delay and request guidance on how to proceed with the load as adjusted for efficiency. The correct answer is C. Conduct a thorough pre-trip inspection to ensure the load is balanced according to manufacturer specifications and within all axle weight limits, even if it means a slight delay. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires a commercial driver to balance operational efficiency with strict adherence to safety regulations concerning weight distribution and cargo handling. The driver must make a judgment call that impacts both delivery timelines and legal compliance, necessitating a thorough understanding of the potential risks associated with improper loading. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes safety and regulatory compliance above all else. By conducting a thorough pre-trip inspection and verifying that the load is properly secured and within all weight limits, the driver upholds their responsibility to operate a commercial vehicle safely. This aligns with the fundamental principles of the Commercial Driver's License (CDL) regulations, which are designed to prevent accidents caused by overloading, unbalanced loads, or unsecured cargo. This proactive approach minimizes the risk of vehicle damage, cargo loss, and most importantly, harm to the driver and the public. An incorrect approach that overlooks the importance of load balance and axle weight limits is professionally unacceptable. This failure represents a direct violation of CDL regulations designed to ensure vehicle stability and prevent road damage. Ethically, it demonstrates a disregard for public safety and the integrity of transportation infrastructure. Another incorrect approach that involves proceeding with a load that appears close enough to the limits without proper verification is also a regulatory and ethical failure. This good enough mentality can lead to exceeding weight limits, which can result in severe penalties, vehicle impoundment, and potential accidents due to compromised handling. It also undermines the professional responsibility to operate within legal and safe parameters. Professional decision-making in similar situations should involve a systematic risk assessment. This includes 1. Understanding the specific cargo and its weight characteristics. 2. Consulting the vehicle's weight ratings, GVWR, GCWR, and axle weight limits. 3. Performing a thorough pre-trip inspection to assess load placement and securement. 4. If there is any doubt about compliance, stopping to re-evaluate and adjust the load or seeking assistance. 5. Prioritizing safety and regulatory compliance over perceived time pressures. Question 5. Stakeholder feedback indicates that commercial drivers sometimes struggle with responding to sudden, unexpected hazards on the roadway. Imagine you are driving a tractor-trailer at highway speed and a large deer suddenly darts into your lane directly in front of you. What is the most appropriate immediate course of action to ensure the safest outcome for yourself, your vehicle, and other road users? Option A. Accelerate to try and outrun the deer before it enters your path. Option B. Immediately swerve sharply to the side to avoid the deer, even if it means crossing into another lane or off the shoulder. Option C. Apply firm, steady braking while maintaining control of the steering wheel and scanning for escape routes, ready to make minor steering adjustments if necessary. Option D. Slam on the brakes as hard as possible, regardless of the potential for the trailer to jackknife. The correct answer is C. Apply firm, steady braking while maintaining control of the steering wheel and scanning for escape routes, ready to make minor steering adjustments if necessary. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires the driver to balance immediate safety concerns with the need to maintain operational efficiency, all while operating a large, complex vehicle combination in a dynamic environment. The presence of a sudden, unexpected hazard, the deer, demands rapid assessment and a controlled response to avoid a collision, which could have severe consequences for the driver, the vehicle, and the cargo. The driver must also consider the potential for secondary hazards, such as other vehicles reacting to the primary event. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a multifaceted response that prioritizes de-escalation of the hazard. This includes immediate, controlled braking to reduce speed without losing control of the vehicle combination. Simultaneously, the driver must scan for escape routes and potential hazards in adjacent lanes or the shoulder, while maintaining a firm grip on the steering wheel to prevent overcorrection. This integrated approach aligns with U.S. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration (FMCSA) regulations concerning safe driving practices, particularly those emphasizing defensive driving, hazard perception, and controlled emergency maneuvers. The emphasis is on minimizing risk through proactive awareness and controlled reactions, rather than impulsive actions. Incorrect approaches analysis. An approach focused solely on aggressive steering to avoid the deer without considering braking or vehicle stability would be a regulatory and ethical failure. This could lead to a loss of control, jackknifing, or rollover. Violating FMCSA regulations on safe operation of commercial motor vehicles. It demonstrates a failure in hazard perception and space management, prioritizing one immediate threat over the overall safety of the vehicle and its occupants. Another incorrect approach would be to brake so hard that the trailer begins to jackknife. This demonstrates a lack of understanding of skid control and recovery techniques specific to combination vehicles, which is a direct violation of FMCSA requirements for safe operation. It also shows a failure in controlled braking and an inability to manage the unique dynamics of a tractor-trailer under emergency conditions. A third incorrect approach, such as swerving sharply without significant braking, would also be a critical failure. This action, while attempting to avoid the deer, ignores the principles of controlled emergency braking and hazard perception. It could lead to a loss of control, striking other vehicles, or leaving the roadway, all of which are contrary to FMCSA safety mandates and represent a severe lapse in professional judgment and adherence to safe driving techniques. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that begins with hazard identification and assessment. This involves constantly scanning the environment for potential dangers. Upon identifying a hazard, the next step is to evaluate the severity and potential impact. The driver must then consider a range of possible responses, weighing the risks and benefits of each. This includes assessing the vehicle's capabilities, road conditions, and the presence of other traffic. The chosen response should be the one that minimizes overall risk and maintains control of the vehicle combination, adhering to established safe driving techniques and regulatory requirements. This systematic approach ensures a controlled and effective reaction to unexpected events. Question 6. Implementation of a safe response when a sudden, unexpected obstacle appears directly in the path of a commercial driver operating a tractor-trailer on a highway, requiring immediate evasive action to prevent a collision. Option A. Apply the brakes smoothly and evenly on both the tractor and the trailer while steering to avoid the obstacle. Option B. Slam on the brakes only on the tractor, attempting to stop the vehicle as quickly as possible. Option C. Steer sharply to avoid the obstacle without applying the brakes. Option D. Release the trailer brakes while applying the brakes on the tractor. The correct answer is A. Apply the brakes smoothly and evenly on both the tractor and the trailer while steering to avoid the obstacle. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires the driver to make an immediate, safety-critical decision under pressure, involving the proper handling of a combination vehicle during a potential hazard. The driver must assess the situation, understand the unique dynamics of a tractor-trailer, and apply knowledge of safe operating procedures to prevent an accident. The complexity arises from the interaction between the tractor and trailer, which can lead to jackknifing or loss of control if not managed correctly. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves the driver maintaining control of both the tractor and the trailer by applying the brakes smoothly and evenly, while steering to avoid the obstacle. This method leverages the inherent stability of a properly coupled combination vehicle when brakes are applied simultaneously. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR, in the U.S., specifically Part 392.14, mandate that drivers operate their vehicles with due regard for the safety of all persons and property. This includes taking appropriate action to avoid hazards. For combination vehicles, this means understanding that improper braking or steering can exacerbate instability. By braking evenly, the driver minimizes the forces that could cause the trailer to push the tractor or the trailer to swing out, thus maintaining directional control. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach would be to slam on the brakes only on the tractor. This action could cause the trailer to continue moving forward due to inertia, pushing the tractor, and potentially leading to a jackknife. This violates the principle of controlled braking for combination vehicles and disregards the specific dynamics that can lead to loss of control, as implicitly covered by the general duty of care under FMCSR Part 392.14. Another incorrect approach would be to steer sharply without braking. Steering is necessary to avoid the obstacle. Doing so without controlled braking can also lead to instability, especially at higher speeds. The trailer's momentum could cause it to lose traction or swing out, leading to a loss of control. This again fails to adhere to the safe operating practices required for combination vehicles under the FMCSR. A third incorrect approach would be to release the trailer brakes while braking the tractor. This would create a significant imbalance in braking forces, almost certainly leading to the trailer pushing the tractor and a high risk of jackknifing. This directly contradicts the understanding of how to safely manage braking on a combination vehicle, which is a fundamental aspect of safe operation under the FMCSR. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes immediate hazard assessment and the application of learned safe operating procedures for combination vehicles. This involves 1. Hazard recognition. Quickly identify the obstacle and the need for evasive action. 2. Vehicle dynamics understanding. Recall the specific handling characteristics of a tractor-trailer, particularly how braking and steering affect stability. 3. Procedural application. Select the braking and steering technique that maintains control, which for combination vehicles generally means smooth, even braking and controlled steering. 4. Regulatory compliance. Ensure the chosen action aligns with the general duty of care to operate safely as mandated by regulations like FMCSR Part 392. 14. 5. Continuous assessment. Monitor vehicle response throughout the maneuver and adjust as necessary. Question 7. The efficiency study reveals that a commercial driver can significantly reduce delivery times by minimizing required breaks and extending driving periods within a single shift. Considering the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR, governing hours of service hose, which of the following actions best upholds both regulatory compliance and professional responsibility? Option A. The driver records their logbook as compliant with all HOS rules, even though they drove for longer than permitted and skipped mandatory breaks. Option B. The driver takes all mandated 10-minute breaks and adheres strictly to the 11-hour driving limit within their 14-hour on-duty period, even if it means the delivery is completed later than initially projected. Option C. The driver skips the required 10-minute breaks to save time, believing that short periods of driving without breaks are not significantly fatiguing. Option D. The driver continues driving beyond the 11-hour limit to ensure the delivery is made on time, assuming they can make up the time with fewer breaks on subsequent days. The correct answer is B. The driver takes all mandated 10-minute breaks and adheres strictly to the 11-hour driving limit within their 14-hour on-duty period, even if it means the delivery is completed later than initially projected. Explanation. This scenario presents a professional challenge because it requires a commercial driver to balance operational efficiency demands with strict adherence to Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR, concerning hours of service hose. The driver is under pressure to complete a delivery quickly, which could tempt them to overlook or misinterpret HOS rules, potentially leading to safety violations and legal repercussions. Careful judgment is required to prioritize safety and compliance over immediate efficiency gains. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes the driver's adherence to the FMCSR HOS regulations, specifically the 11-hour driving limit and the 10-minute break requirement. This aligns with the fundamental purpose of HOS rules, which is to prevent driver fatigue and reduce the risk of accidents. By ensuring the driver takes the required breaks and logs their time accurately, they are upholding their legal and ethical responsibility to operate their vehicle safely. This proactive compliance demonstrates a commitment to regulatory standards and the well-being of themselves and others on the road. An incorrect approach that involves the driver continuing to drive past the 11-hour limit to meet the delivery deadline is a direct violation of FMCSR Section 395, 3A2. This failure to comply with driving time limits significantly increases the risk of driver fatigue, impairing judgment and reaction time, and thus creating a substantial safety hazard. Ethically, it disregards the well-being of the public. Another incorrect approach, where the driver skips the required 10-minute breaks to save time, violates FMCSR Section 395, 3A1, which mandates these breaks. These breaks are designed to allow drivers to rest and reduce fatigue, and their omission undermines the safety intent of the HOS regulations. This approach prioritizes speed over safety, which is a critical regulatory and ethical failure. A further incorrect approach, where the driver falsifies their logbook to show they took the breaks and adhered to the driving limits, constitutes a serious violation of FMCSR Section 395. 8. This is not only a regulatory offense, but also an act of dishonesty that undermines the entire purpose of the HOS system, which relies on accurate record-keeping to ensure compliance and safety. It is a severe ethical breach. The professional reasoning process for similar situations should involve a clear understanding of the FMCSR, particularly the HOS regulations. When faced with conflicting pressures between efficiency and compliance, the driver must first and foremost prioritize safety and regulatory adherence. This means understanding the limits, logging time accurately, and taking all required breaks, even if it means a slight delay. If a deadline cannot be met while remaining compliant, the driver should communicate this to their dispatcher or supervisor, explaining the regulatory constraints. This proactive communication is crucial for managing expectations and ensuring that operational demands do not lead to unsafe practices. Question 8. Operational review demonstrates that a commercial driver operating a tractor-trailer combination vehicle with air brakes has noticed a consistent hissing sound emanating from the rear axle area during braking, and the brake pedal feels slightly softer than usual. What is the most appropriate and regulatory compliant course of action? Option A. Immediately contact dispatch to request a tow truck, as any unusual sound during braking indicates a critical safety failure. Option B. Continue the trip, assuming the sound is minor and will resolve itself, as it does not appear to be a complete brake failure. Option C. Immediately stop the vehicle at the nearest safe location, perform a thorough air brake system inspection, and report the findings to the appropriate personnel for repair if necessary. Option D. Attempt to tighten any visible air lines or connections in the rear axle area to stop the hissing sound before continuing the trip. The correct answer is C. Immediately stop the vehicle at the nearest safe location, perform a thorough air brake system inspection, and report the findings to the appropriate personnel for repair if necessary. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge for commercial drivers operating combination vehicles equipped with air brakes. The driver has detected a potential issue with the braking system, specifically a symptom that could indicate a leak or a component malfunction. The professional challenge lies in accurately diagnosing the problem and taking appropriate action to ensure safety and compliance with regulations, without causing unnecessary delays or compromising the vehicle's operational integrity. Misdiagnosis or improper response can lead to safety hazards, regulatory violations, and potential damage to the vehicle. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a systematic and regulatory compliant diagnostic process. This aligns with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR, in the United States, specifically those pertaining to vehicle inspection and maintenance, e.g., 49 CFR Part 396. A driver is obligated to perform pre-trip and post-trip inspections and to report and address any defects that could affect the safe operation of the vehicle. Identifying a potential air brake issue and performing a thorough system check, including checking for leaks and verifying proper operation of components like the air governor and brake valves, is the mandated and safest course of action. This proactive approach ensures the vehicle is safe to operate and prevents further damage or failure. Incorrect approach is analysis, an approach that involves ignoring the symptom and continuing the trip without investigation, is a direct violation of safety regulations. This demonstrates a failure to adhere to the driver's responsibility for vehicle safety and inspection, potentially leading to a catastrophic brake failure. This is ethically and regulatorily unacceptable. An approach that involves attempting a quick fix without a proper understanding of air brake systems or without consulting a qualified mechanic is also problematic. While some minor issues might be resolvable by a driver, complex air brake problems require specialized knowledge and tools. Attempting repairs beyond one's expertise can exacerbate the problem, create new hazards, and violate maintenance regulations that require qualified personnel for certain repairs. An approach that involves immediately assuming the worst-case scenario and abandoning the vehicle without a proper diagnostic assessment might be overly cautious and lead to unnecessary delays and costs. While safety is paramount, a driver must also exercise professional judgment based on the observed symptoms and perform reasonable diagnostic steps before escalating to extreme measures. Professional reasoning. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes safety, regulatory compliance, and efficient problem solving. This involves 1. Recognizing and acknowledging the symptom. 2. Consulting the vehicle's operating manual and relevant regulations, e.g., FMCSR for pre-trip inspections and defect reporting. 3. Performing a systematic diagnostic check of the suspected system. 4. If the issue is beyond the driver's expertise or ability to safely resolve, reporting the defect to the appropriate authority, e.g., dispatcher, maintenance department, and taking the vehicle out of service until it can be properly repaired by qualified personnel. Question 9. Market research demonstrates that many commercial drivers face challenges when operating combination vehicles through diverse urban and rural areas within a single state. A driver is tasked with transporting a load that, when combined with their tractor-trailer, approaches the maximum legal weight limit. Their planned route includes several bridges and a tunnel. The driver has a general understanding of state speed limits for commercial vehicles, but has not specifically researched any local ordinances or bridge weight restrictions for the exact roads they will be traveling. What is the most professional and legally sound course of action for this driver? Option A. Immediately stop and consult official state and local Department of Transportation resources, trucking atlases, and any available route advisories to verify all weight restrictions, bridge clearances, and tunnel limitations for the specific planned route before continuing. Option B. Drive at a reduced speed throughout the entire route to minimize the risk of exceeding any unknown restrictions, regardless of posted speed limits. Option C. Attempt to find an alternative route that is known to be less restrictive, even if it significantly increases travel time and deviates from the most direct path, without first verifying the restrictions on the original route. Option D. Proceed with the trip, relying on general knowledge of commercial vehicle speed limits and assuming bridges and tunnels will be passable, while being observant for any immediate warning signs. The correct answer is D. Proceed with the trip, relying on general knowledge of commercial vehicle speed limits and assuming bridges and tunnels will be passable, while being observant for any immediate warning signs. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires a commercial driver to navigate a complex web of state and local regulations that can vary significantly even within a single state. The driver must not only understand general traffic laws, but also be acutely aware of specific restrictions pertaining to their vehicle's size and weight, especially when operating a combination vehicle. Failure to adhere to these regulations can result in severe penalties, including fines, license suspension, and even criminal charges, in addition to potential damage to infrastructure and public safety risks. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes safety and compliance above all else. A professional driver is expected to proactively research and understand all applicable state and local laws for their intended route. This includes consulting official state Department of Transportation resources, reviewing route-specific advisories for weight and bridge restrictions, and understanding the implications of various road signs and signals. By verifying the route and adhering strictly to posted restrictions, the driver ensures they are operating legally and safely, protecting themselves, the public, and the infrastructure. This proactive and compliant behavior is the cornerstone of responsible commercial driving. An incorrect approach that involves proceeding without verifying restrictions is professionally unacceptable due to a direct violation of safety regulations and a disregard for potential hazards. This demonstrates a failure to exercise due diligence, a core ethical and regulatory requirement for CDL holders. Such an action could lead to operating a vehicle over a weight-restricted bridge, causing structural damage and posing a severe risk of collapse, or entering a tunnel with height restrictions that the combination vehicle exceeds, leading to a collision and potential entrapment. These are not minor infractions but serious safety breaches with potentially catastrophic consequences. Another incorrect approach, relying solely on general knowledge of speed limits without considering specific local variations or the type of vehicle being operated, is also professionally deficient. Combination vehicles often have different speed limits than passenger vehicles, and local ordinances can impose even lower limits in sensitive areas. Ignoring these specific regulations, even if general speed limits are observed, can lead to unsafe driving conditions, increased risk of accidents, and citations for violating local traffic laws. The professional reasoning process for such situations should involve a systematic approach. 1. Route planning. Before commencing any trip, thoroughly plan the route, identifying all potential restrictions. 2. Regulatory research. Consult official state and local DOT websites, trucking atlases, and any available route advisories for weight limits, bridge restrictions, tunnel clearances, and special permit requirements. 3. Vehicle assessment. Be fully aware of the dimensions and weight of the specific combination vehicle being operated. 4. On-road observation. Pay close attention to all posted signs, signals, and markings, especially those indicating restriction. 5. Decision-making. If any doubt exists about the legality or safety of proceeding, stop and verify. Never assume. Prioritize safety and compliance over schedule adherence. Question 10. Investigation of a commercial driver's experience where, while operating a tractor-trailer combination, they notice a rhythmic, side-to-side movement of the trailer that seems to be increasing in amplitude, particularly when encountering uneven road surfaces or crosswinds. The driver is concerned this could indicate a developing trailer sway condition that, if unchecked, could lead to jackknifing or a rollover. Option A. Continue driving at a reduced speed, hoping the sway will naturally correct itself as the road conditions improve or the wind subsides. Option B. Ignore the sway, assuming it is a minor issue that will not significantly impact vehicle stability or safety. Option C. Immediately pull over to a safe location. Disengage the trailer brakes momentarily if safe to do so to allow the trailer to straighten, and then report the observed sway to dispatch or their supervisor for further instructions. Option D. Attempt to counteract the sway by making sharp steering corrections and applying the trailer brakes independently to regain control. The correct answer is C. Immediately pull over to a safe location. Disengage the trailer brakes momentarily if safe to do so to allow the trailer to straighten, and then report the observed sway to dispatch or their supervisor for further instructions. Explanation. This scenario presents a professionally challenging situation because it involves a potential safety violation that could lead to severe consequences, including property damage, injury, or fatality, and significant legal and financial repercussions for the driver and the company. The driver is faced with a conflict between adhering to safety protocols and potentially facing delays or operational inconvenience. Careful judgment is required to prioritize safety over expediency. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it directly addresses the observed safety concern in a proactive and responsible manner, aligning with the core principles of commercial driver safety regulations. This approach prioritizes the prevention of potential hazards like trailer sway or jackknifing, which are critical aspects of combination vehicle stability and control. By reporting the issue, the driver initiates a process to rectify the problem before it escalates, thereby upholding their duty of care and complying with regulations that mandate safe operation of commercial vehicles. This aligns with the overarching goal of preventing accidents and ensuring public safety. An incorrect approach that involves ignoring the observed issue is professionally unacceptable because it constitutes a direct violation of regulations requiring drivers to ensure their vehicle is in safe operating condition before and during operation. This failure to act demonstrates negligence and a disregard for the potential risks associated with an unstable load or malfunctioning equipment. Ethically, it breaches the driver's responsibility to themselves, other road users, and their employer. Another incorrect approach, such as attempting to compensate for the sway by aggressive steering or braking, is also professionally unacceptable. This demonstrates a lack of understanding of vehicle dynamics and the principles of trailer sway mitigation. Such actions can exacerbate the problem, leading to a loss of control, jackknifing, or rollover. It represents a failure to follow established safety procedures and a dangerous reliance on instinct rather than knowledge. A third incorrect approach, such as continuing the journey without reporting the issue and hoping it resolves itself, is professionally unacceptable. This passive approach is a dereliction of duty. Regulations require drivers to be vigilant and to report any defects or conditions that could compromise safety. Relying on hope rather than action is a significant ethical and regulatory failure. The professional decision-making process for similar situations should involve a systematic assessment of the observed condition, a clear understanding of relevant safety regulations, and a commitment to taking appropriate action. This includes 1. Recognizing and assessing the potential hazard. 2. Consulting the vehicle's operating manual or company policy for guidance on specific issues. 3. Reporting the issue to the appropriate authority, e.g., supervisor, maintenance department, immediately. 4. Following instructions for resolution, which may include stopping operation until the issue is fixed. 5. Documenting the observation and the actions taken. This process ensures that safety is always the paramount consideration. Question 11. What factors determine the appropriate placarding and shipping paper requirements for a commercial driver transporting hazardous materials in combination vehicles? Option A. The type of combination vehicle being used, irrespective of the materials being hauled. Option B. The driver's personal knowledge of the materials being transported without requiring written documentation. Option C. the hazard class and division of the materials, their quantity, and the specific placarding requirements outlined in the Hazardous Materials Regulations, HMR. Option D, the total weight of all cargo on the vehicle, regardless of whether it is hazardous. The correct answer is C, the hazard class and division of the materials, their quantity, and the specific placarding requirements outlined in the Hazardous Materials Regulations, HMR. Explanation: this scenario is professionally challenging because a commercial driver transporting hazardous materials must constantly balance operational efficiency with stringent safety and regulatory compliance. Misinterpreting or overlooking any aspect of hazardous materials regulations can lead to severe consequences, including accidents, environmental damage, significant fines, and loss of operating privileges. The driver's judgment is critical in ensuring all requirements are met before and during transit. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes a comprehensive review of all mandated documentation and placarding against the actual cargo being transported. This aligns directly with the Hazardous Materials Regulations, HMR, which require accurate shipping papers and proper placarding to inform emergency responders of the hazards present. This proactive verification ensures that the driver is fully aware of the risks and has the necessary information to handle the materials safely and to respond effectively in an emergency, fulfilling their ethical and legal obligations. An incorrect approach that focuses solely on the quantity of material without verifying its classification and associated placarding is a significant regulatory failure. The HMR mandates specific placarding based on the hazard class and division of the material, not just its volume. Failing to placard correctly can lead to emergency responders misidentifying the hazard, leading to inappropriate response actions and increased risk. Another incorrect approach that relies only on the shipper's verbal confirmation without reviewing the shipping papers is a failure to adhere to the HMR's documentation requirements. Shipping papers are legal documents that must accurately describe the hazardous materials, their quantities, and emergency contact information. Verbal confirmation is insufficient and bypasses the critical step of verifying the written record against the actual shipment. An incorrect approach that assumes all materials on the vehicle are hazardous and applies the most restrictive placarding is inefficient and can lead to regulatory noncompliance by misrepresenting the actual hazards. While erring on the side of caution is generally good, the HMR specifies placarding requirements based on specific hazard classes and quantities. Over-placarding can be as problematic as under-placarding by creating confusion. Professional reasoning in such situations involves a systematic checklist approach. The driver should first confirm the presence and accuracy of shipping papers, cross-referencing the listed materials with the vehicle's cargo. Next, they must verify that the vehicle is placarded correctly according to the materials listed on the shipping papers and the applicable HMR. Finally, they should be familiar with the handling procedures and emergency response information relevant to the specific hazardous materials being transported. This layered verification process ensures compliance and enhances safety. Question 12. When evaluating a situation where a commercial driver operating a tractor-trailer experiences a sudden loss of power and unusual noises from the engine while on a busy interstate highway, what is the most appropriate and legally compliant course of action? Option A. Continue driving at a reduced speed in the travel lane, hoping to reach a service station before the problem worsens. Option B. Immediately exit the vehicle and attempt to diagnose and repair the engine problem using tools from the truck's toolbox. Option C. Attempt to drive the vehicle to the nearest exit, even if it requires exceeding the posted speed limit to do so quickly. Option D. Safely maneuver the vehicle to the right shoulder, activate hazard lights, deploy warning devices at the required distances, assess the situation for immediate safety concerns, and contact dispatch for further instructions. The correct answer is D. Safely maneuver the vehicle to the right shoulder, activate hazard lights, deploy warning devices at the required distances, assess the situation for immediate safety concerns, and contact dispatch for further instructions. Explanation: scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common but potentially hazardous roadside emergency for a commercial driver operating a combination vehicle. The challenge lies in balancing the immediate need to secure the vehicle and ensure safety with the driver's responsibility to follow established procedures for mechanical failures. The driver must assess the situation quickly, prioritize safety, and act decisively while adhering to regulatory requirements for emergency response and vehicle operation. The complexity of a combination vehicle, with its multiple components, adds layers to the potential mechanical issues and the subsequent procedures. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach prioritizes immediate safety and regulatory compliance. This involves safely pulling over to the shoulder, activating hazard lights, and placing warning devices at the prescribed distances to alert oncoming traffic. The driver then needs to assess the mechanical failure to determine if it can be safely addressed roadside or if professional assistance is required. Contacting dispatch and potentially a towing service is crucial for resolving the issue while minimizing disruption and ensuring the vehicle is repaired according to safety standards. This aligns with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR, concerning disabled vehicles and the driver's responsibility to ensure the safe operation of their vehicle. Incorrect approach is analysis. Attempting to continue driving with a significant mechanical failure, such as a suspected brake issue or a major engine problem, is a direct violation of FMCSR and poses an extreme safety risk to the driver, other motorists, and the public. This demonstrates a failure to prioritize safety and a disregard for the vehicle's operational integrity. Failing to place warning devices or placing them incorrectly significantly increases the risk of a secondary accident. The FMCSR mandates specific placement of reflective triangles or flares to provide adequate warning to other drivers, especially in low visibility conditions or on high-speed roadways. Neglecting this step is a serious regulatory and ethical failure. Attempting to perform complex repairs without the necessary expertise or tools, especially on a combination vehicle, can lead to further damage, personal injury, or an unsafe repair. This bypasses the established protocol of seeking professional assistance for issues beyond the driver's immediate capability and training. Professional reasoning. Professionals in commercial driving must adopt a systematic approach to roadside emergencies. This begins with immediate hazard mitigation, safely stopping the vehicle, activating all available warning systems, and securing the area with appropriate devices. Next, a thorough but safe assessment of the problem is necessary. If the issue is beyond the driver's immediate ability to rectify safely and within regulatory guidelines, the next step is to contact the appropriate authorities or support services, dispatch, roadside assistance. Documentation of the incident and the steps taken is also a critical part of professional practice. This decision-making process emphasizes safety, regulatory adherence, and efficient problem resolution. Question 13. Benchmark analysis indicates that a commercial driver operating a tractor-trailer combination vehicle on a long-haul route begins to hear an unusual knocking sound from the engine compartment, accompanied by a noticeable loss of power. The driver is several hours away from their next scheduled maintenance stop. What is the most appropriate and professionally responsible course of action? Option A. Ignore the sounds and power loss, focusing solely on reaching the destination as quickly as possible to minimize delivery delays. Option B. Attempt to diagnose the problem by pulling over and opening the hood, checking basic fluid levels, and listening for specific sounds, then continuing if no obvious external issues are found. Option C. Continue driving to the next scheduled maintenance stop, but reduce speed and monitor the engine closely, assuming the issue might resolve itself. Option D. Immediately pull over to a safe location, cease operation, and contact a qualified mechanic or roadside assistance for professional diagnosis and repair. Correct answer is D. Immediately pull over to a safe location, cease operation, and contact a qualified mechanic or roadside assistance for professional diagnosis and repair. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common but potentially critical issue for a commercial driver operating a combination vehicle. The driver is experiencing a symptom, unusual engine noise and loss of power, that could stem from multiple complex vehicle systems. The challenge lies in accurately diagnosing the problem without specialized diagnostic equipment, under time pressure, and with the responsibility of ensuring vehicle safety and compliance with commercial driving regulations. Misdiagnosis can lead to further damage, unsafe operation, or regulatory violations. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach prioritizes safety and regulatory compliance by immediately ceasing operation and seeking professional mechanical assistance. This aligns with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR, that mandate drivers to ensure their vehicles are in safe operating condition before and during operation. Specifically, 49 CFR Section 396. 11. Driver's daily record of inspection, and Section 396. 13. Driver responsibilities. Require drivers to perform pre-trip inspections and report any defects that could affect safe operation. By stopping and calling for qualified assistance, the driver is fulfilling their duty to prevent an unsafe vehicle from continuing on the road, thereby protecting themselves, other motorists, and cargo. This also prevents potential escalation of the mechanical issue, which could lead to more costly repairs and extended downtime. Incorrect approach is analysis. Continuing to drive the vehicle, even at reduced speed, is a direct violation of FMCSR related to vehicle safety and maintenance. It demonstrates a disregard for the driver's responsibility to operate a safe vehicle. This action could lead to a catastrophic mechanical failure, resulting in an accident, significant damage to the vehicle and cargo, and potential injury or fatality. It also constitutes a failure to report a known defect that could affect safe operation. Attempting to diagnose and repair the issue without proper training or tools is also professionally unacceptable and potentially dangerous. Commercial vehicles, especially combination vehicles, have complex engine and related systems. Amateur attempts at repair can exacerbate the problem, create new hazards, e.g., electrical shorts, fuel leaks, and may not resolve the underlying issue. Furthermore, it bypasses the established procedure for reporting and addressing vehicle defects, which is to involve qualified mechanics. Ignoring the issue and hoping it resolves itself is the most negligent approach. This demonstrates a severe lack of professional responsibility and a disregard for safety regulations. It is a direct contravention of the driver's obligation to ensure the vehicle's roadworthiness. Professional reasoning. When faced with unusual vehicle behavior that impacts performance or safety, a commercial driver should follow a systematic decision-making process. 1. Recognize the symptom and its potential implications for safety and operation. 2. Prioritize immediate safety. If the symptom suggests a potential loss of control, braking, or engine failure, stop the vehicle in a safe location as soon as possible. 3. Consult pre-trip inspection reports and vehicle maintenance records for any prior indications of similar issues. 4. If the issue cannot be immediately identified and rectified with basic, safe checks, e.g., checking fluid levels if appropriate and safe to do so, cease operation. 5. Contact the appropriate authority, dispatch fleet manager, to report the issue and request qualified roadside assistance or towing to a certified repair facility. 6. Document the issue and the actions taken as per company policy and regulatory requirements. This process ensures that safety is paramount, regulatory obligations are met, and the vehicle is returned to a safe operating condition by qualified professionals. Question 14. The evaluation methodology shows that a commercial driver operating a tractor-trailer combination vehicle on a long-haul route begins to experience significant drowsiness and reduced reaction time, evidenced by several near misses with lane drift. The driver is still several hours from their scheduled rest stop. Option A. Immediately find the nearest safe location to pull over and take a mandated rest break, even if it means deviating from the planned route and notifying dispatch. Option B. Reduce speed significantly and activate hazard lights to signal to other drivers that they are experiencing reduced alertness. Option C. Push through the drowsiness, believing that the importance of the delivery schedule outweighs the current physical discomfort. Option D. Continue driving, relying on caffeine and loud music to stay alert, as the scheduled rest stop is still a considerable distance away. The correct answer is A. Immediately find the nearest safe location to pull over and take a mandated rest break, even if it means deviating from the planned route and notifying dispatch. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because it requires a commercial driver to make rapid, safety-critical decisions under pressure, balancing immediate operational demands with long-term driver well-being and regulatory compliance. The driver must not only react to a dynamic situation, but also proactively manage their own physiological state to prevent future risks. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes the immediate safety of the driver, other road users, and the cargo by acknowledging the driver's fatigue and taking a decisive, proactive step to mitigate the risk. This aligns with Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR, Part 392, which mandates that no driver shall operate a commercial motor vehicle when their ability or alertness is so impaired, nor shall any driver allow a false sense of security to influence his or her actions or decisions. Furthermore, it adheres to the ethical obligation of a professional driver to ensure public safety above all else. An incorrect approach that involves continuing the journey without addressing the fatigue is a direct violation of FMCSR and demonstrates a failure to manage risk effectively. This could lead to a serious accident, resulting in severe injury, death, and significant legal and financial repercussions for the driver and the motor carrier. Another incorrect approach, such as ignoring the symptoms and hoping they subside, is a form of denial that actively increases the likelihood of an incident. This demonstrates a lack of situational awareness and a disregard for the driver's own physical limitations, which is contrary to the principles of defensive driving and risk management. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that begins with self-assessment of alertness and physical condition. If fatigue is detected, the immediate priority is to find a safe location to stop and rest, as mandated by regulations. This proactive measure prevents potential hazards from escalating and ensures compliance with safety standards. The driver should then report their condition to their dispatcher, following company policy, to manage operational expectations. Question 15. System analysis indicates that a commercial driver operating a combination vehicle in a region experiencing freezing rain and temperatures below 30 degrees Fahrenheit is approaching a mountainous area known for sudden temperature drops and potential for black ice formation. The driver has a critical delivery deadline. Which of the following actions best demonstrates adherence to regulatory requirements and professional safe driving practices for winter conditions? Option A. Contacting dispatch to request a delay in the delivery, citing potential weather hazards, and waiting for further instructions without taking any immediate action regarding vehicle preparation. Option B. Continuing at the scheduled speed to make up time, assuming the truck's weight will provide sufficient traction, and only considering tire chains if visibility becomes severely impaired. Option C. Proceeding with the delivery, relying on the vehicle's standard braking system and assuming road conditions are manageable until visual confirmation of ice is made. Option D. Stopping to install tire chains as per the vehicle's emergency equipment, and proceeding with reduced speed, increased following distance, and heightened awareness for potential black ice. The correct answer is C. Proceeding with the delivery, relying on the vehicle's standard braking system, and assuming road conditions are manageable until visual confirmation of ice is made. Explanation. This scenario presents a professionally challenging situation because it requires a commercial driver to make critical decisions under adverse winter conditions that directly impact safety and regulatory compliance. The driver must balance the urgency of a delivery schedule with the paramount importance of safe operation, especially when dealing with reduced visibility and potentially hazardous road surfaces. The challenge lies in accurately assessing the risks associated with black ice and implementing appropriate driving techniques to mitigate those risks, all while adhering to strict pre-trip inspection requirements. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes safety and regulatory compliance through a thorough pre-trip inspection that specifically addresses winter conditions, including checking for proper tire chain installation and functionality. This proactive measure aligns with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR, concerning vehicle condition and safe operation, particularly in hazardous weather. The driver's decision to adjust speed and following distance based on observed conditions and to be hypervigilant for black ice demonstrates an understanding of defensive driving techniques crucial for winter operations. This approach minimizes the risk of accidents, cargo damage, and potential violations, ensuring the driver operates within legal and ethical boundaries. An incorrect approach that involves proceeding without verifying tire chain installation, despite the reported conditions, represents a significant regulatory failure. FMCSR mandate that vehicles must be operated in a safe condition, and failure to properly equip a vehicle for hazardous weather when required is a direct violation. Ethically, it demonstrates negligence by disregarding known risks. Another incorrect approach, such as relying solely on the vehicle's standard braking system without considering the reduced traction of ice, ignores the fundamental principles of winter driving and the specific techniques required to maintain control. This failure to adapt driving techniques to the conditions can lead to loss of control and accidents, violating the driver's duty of care. Lastly, an approach that dismisses the possibility of black ice due to a lack of visible precipitation is a dangerous misjudgment. Black ice can form even without active snowfall, and its invisibility makes it a particularly insidious hazard. Ignoring this possibility is a failure to exercise due diligence and a disregard for the potential for sudden loss of traction, which is a critical safety concern under FMCSR. Professional reasoning in such situations involves a systematic risk assessment. The driver should first consult weather reports and road conditions. The pre-trip inspection must be comprehensive, with a specific focus on winter preparedness, including tire chains. During operation, constant observation of the road surface, surrounding traffic, and vehicle behavior is essential. The driver must be prepared to adjust speed, increase following distance, and utilize appropriate braking and steering techniques. If conditions deteriorate to a point where safe operation is impossible, the driver must have a contingency plan, which may include pulling over to a safe location until conditions improve, even if it impacts delivery schedules. This decision-making process is guided by the principle of safety first, which is implicitly and explicitly embedded within the FMCSR and the ethical obligations of a professional commercial driver. Question 16. Cost-benefit analysis shows that a driver who consistently performs a detailed, multi-point safety check after coupling a tractor to a semi-trailer, including verifying the fifth wheel locking pin, testing air brake system integrity, and confirming electrical connections for lights and signals, experiences significantly fewer roadside breakdowns and safety incidents compared to drivers who perform only a cursory visual inspection. Considering the regulatory framework for commercial driver licensing in the United States, which of the following actions, if omitted from the coupling procedure, poses the greatest immediate risk to safe operation and regulatory compliance? Option A. Connecting the airlines and performing a service brake application to check for leaks and proper air pressure. Option B. Visually inspecting the trailer's tires for proper inflation and any visible damage. Option C. Verifying that all trailer lights and turn signals are functioning correctly by activating them. Option D. Ensuring the fifth wheel jaws are fully engaged and the kingpin is locked securely in place. Correct answer is D. Ensuring the fifth wheel jaws are fully engaged and the kingpin is locked securely in place. Explanation. This scenario is professionally challenging because the coupling and uncoupling of a commercial vehicle combination requires meticulous attention to detail to ensure safety and compliance with federal regulations. A failure in any step of the coupling or uncoupling process can lead to severe accidents, property damage, and potential injury or fatality. The driver's responsibility extends beyond simply connecting the vehicles. It involves a comprehensive safety inspection that directly impacts public safety and the operational integrity of the transport. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it adheres strictly to the established procedures outlined in the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR, specifically Part 392, Driving of Commercial Motor Vehicles, and Part 376, Leased Bus Vehicles, which implicitly cover safe operation and maintenance and the general principles of safe vehicle operation. This systematic, step-by-step process, including thorough airline and electrical line connections, fifth wheel operation checks, and a comprehensive post-coupling safety inspection, minimizes the risk of separation or malfunction during transit. It demonstrates a commitment to regulatory compliance and a proactive approach to hazard identification and mitigation, which is ethically imperative for commercial drivers. An incorrect approach, such as neglecting to fully secure the fifth wheel locking mechanism, represents a direct violation of safe operating practices and implicitly the FMCSR. Failure to ensure a secure connection creates an immediate and severe risk of trailer separation, which is a critical safety hazard. Another incorrect approach, like failing to perform a leak test on the air brake system after connecting the airlines, is a violation of the requirement for safe vehicle operation and maintenance. A compromised air brake system can lead to loss of braking control, a direct threat to public safety. Similarly, failing to verify the electrical connection for lights and signals before moving the vehicle compromises the driver's ability to communicate their intentions to other road users, increasing the risk of collisions and violating regulations concerning vehicle visibility and signaling. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that prioritizes safety and regulatory compliance above all else. This involves internalizing the procedural steps for coupling and uncoupling, understanding the critical safety implications of each step, and conducting a mental checklist before, during, and after the process. When faced with any ambiguity or doubt about a connection or a safety check, the professional driver must stop and rectify the issue, rather than proceeding with a potentially unsafe vehicle configuration. This proactive and cautious approach, grounded in regulatory knowledge and a strong ethical compass, is the hallmark of responsible commercial driving. Question 17. The assessment process reveals that a commercial driver operating a tractor-trailer equipped with air brakes has noticed an intermittent, faint hissing sound coming from the trailer during braking. The sound is not constant and disappears when the brakes are not applied. The driver has also observed that the air pressure gauge fluctuates slightly more than usual during braking. What is the most appropriate course of action for the driver to take to ensure the safe operation of the vehicle and comply with regulations? Option A. Attempt to tighten any visible air fittings on the trailer's air lines while parked at the next available rest stop, hoping to resolve the hissing sound without needing professional assistance. Option B. Immediately pull over to a safe location and conduct a thorough pre-trip inspection, focusing on the air brake system, including listening for leaks, checking air lines, and inspecting brake chambers and slack adjusters. If an air leak is identified or the issue cannot be resolved, the driver should contact a qualified mechanic for repair before continuing the trip. Option C. Continue the trip but monitor the air pressure gauge closely. If the hissing sound becomes louder or the air pressure drops significantly, then pull over and investigate the issue. Option D. Assume the hissing sound is minor and unrelated to the braking system, perhaps a loose panel, and continue the trip as scheduled, as the vehicle is still braking. The correct answer is B. Immediately pull over to a safe location and conduct a thorough pre-trip inspection, focusing on the air brake system, including listening for leaks, checking air lines, and inspecting brake chambers and slack adjusters. If an air leak is identified or the issue cannot be resolved, the driver should contact a qualified mechanic for repair before continuing the trip. Explanation: this scenario is professionally challenging because a driver operating a commercial vehicle with an air brake system experiencing intermittent issues faces a direct safety risk to themselves, other road users, and the cargo. The intermittent nature of the problem makes it difficult to pinpoint the exact cause, requiring a systematic and thorough diagnostic approach rather than a quick fix. The driver must balance the need to maintain their schedule with the absolute imperative of ensuring the vehicle's safe operation, as mandated by federal regulations governing commercial vehicle safety. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes safety and regulatory compliance. By performing a thorough pre-trip inspection, listening for audible air leaks, checking air pressure gauges, and visually inspecting components, the driver is actively engaging with the vehicle's safety systems as required by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR. This methodical process allows for the identification of potential problems before they escalate into a critical failure, such as brake loss. The decision to seek professional repair if the issue cannot be immediately resolved demonstrates responsible operation and adherence to the principle of operating a vehicle only when it is in safe operating condition. An incorrect approach that involves ignoring the audible hiss and continuing the trip would be a direct violation of FMCSR, specifically those pertaining to vehicle condition and driver responsibility for ensuring safe operation. This action demonstrates gross negligence and a disregard for the safety of others, creating an unacceptable risk of brake failure. Another incorrect approach, such as attempting a complex repair without proper training or tools, could exacerbate the problem, lead to further damage, or create a false sense of security while the underlying issue remains unaddressed. This also violates the principle of operating a vehicle only when it is in safe operating condition and could lead to regulatory penalties. Professionals should employ a decision-making framework that begins with a comprehensive understanding of the vehicle's systems and applicable regulations. When an anomaly is detected, the framework dictates a systematic diagnostic process, starting with the most basic checks and progressing to more complex investigations as needed. The driver must constantly assess the risk associated with continuing operation versus the need to stop and address the issue. If the problem cannot be resolved safely and effectively by the driver, the framework mandates seeking qualified professional assistance, prioritizing safety and compliance above all else. Question 18. The monitoring system demonstrates an intermittent alert indicating a potential issue with the tractor-trailer coupling mechanism after the initial connection was made. The driver has completed the standard pre-trip inspection. What is the most appropriate immediate action to ensure the safety and integrity of the coupled unit? Option A. Attempt to jiggle the trailer or tractor slightly to see if the alert stops, indicating a loose connection that might self-correct. Option B. Conduct a comprehensive physical inspection of the fifth wheel, kingpin, locking jaws, trailer support legs, air lines, and electrical connection, and re-verify the secure engagement of all components. Option C. Ignore the alert, assuming it is a sensor malfunction, and proceed with the trip as the initial pre-trip inspection was completed. Option D. Perform a quick visual check of the fifth wheel and kingpin from the driver's seat, and proceed if no obvious damage is visible. Correct answer is B. Conduct a comprehensive physical inspection of the fifth wheel, kingpin, locking jaws, trailer support legs, air lines, and electrical connections, and re-verify the secure engagement of all components. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common but critical challenge in commercial vehicle operation, ensuring the secure and safe coupling of a tractor and trailer. The monitoring system's alert highlights a potential deficiency in the coupling process, demanding immediate and precise action from the driver. Failure to correctly address this alert can lead to catastrophic accidents, including trailer separation, rollovers, and severe damage to property and potential loss of life. The driver's judgment is challenged to accurately interpret the alert, identify the root cause, and implement the correct corrective measures, all while adhering to stringent safety regulations. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a systematic and thorough inspection of the fifth wheel, kingpin, and associated locking mechanisms, followed by a recoupling procedure if necessary. This aligns directly with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR, found in 49 CFR Part 392, 7 and 49 CFR Part 396, 11, which mandate pre-trip inspections and ensuring vehicles are in safe operating condition. Specifically, the regulations require drivers to inspect coupling devices for defects and ensure they are properly secured. A detailed inspection of the fifth wheel for damage, proper lubrication, and secure mounting, along with verification of the kingpin's condition and engagement with the fifth wheel jaws, is paramount. Checking that the trailer support legs are fully retracted and secured, and that air and electrical lines are properly connected and secured with glad hands and safety chains, are all integral parts of a safe coupling procedure as outlined by industry best practices and regulatory guidance. This comprehensive approach minimizes the risk of coupling failure. Incorrect approaches analysis. One incorrect approach involves dismissing the alert as a minor system glitch and proceeding with the journey without a physical inspection. This directly violates FMCSR requiring drivers to ensure their vehicle is in safe operating condition before driving. It demonstrates a failure to prioritize safety over expediency and ignores the potential for a critical mechanical failure. Another incorrect approach is to only perform a cursory visual check of the fifth wheel and kingpin without verifying the secure engagement of the locking mechanism or the retraction of trailer support legs. This superficial inspection fails to meet the thoroughness required by regulations and industry standards, leaving the coupling vulnerable to separation. It represents a failure to understand the critical role of each component in maintaining a secure connection. A third incorrect approach is to attempt to force the coupling or adjust components without understanding the specific cause of the alert or the proper procedure. This can lead to further damage to the coupling apparatus or create an unsafe condition that is not immediately apparent. It demonstrates a lack of technical knowledge and a disregard for the precise procedures required for safe coupling. Professional reasoning. Professionals should approach such alerts with a mindset of assume it's real until proven otherwise. The decision-making process should involve 1. Acknowledging the alert and its potential severity. 2. Consulting the vehicle's operating manual or seeking guidance if unsure about the alert's meaning. 3. Immediately initiating a thorough, systematic physical inspection of all coupling components as mandated by regulations. 4. Correcting any identified issues according to manufacturer specifications and regulatory requirements. 5. Performing a post-correction test drive or verification to ensure the problem is resolved. This structured approach prioritizes safety, regulatory compliance, and the prevention of accidents. Question 19. System analysis indicates that a commercial driver operating a tractor-trailer combination vehicle on a long-haul route notices a visible bulge on the sidewall of one of the trailer tires during an en route inspection. The driver is concerned about the potential safety implications, but is also under pressure to maintain their delivery schedule. Considering the regulatory framework for commercial driver responsibilities, what is the most appropriate and legally compliant course of action? Option A. Continue driving to the next scheduled stop, assuming the bulge is minor and unlikely to cause an immediate problem, to avoid delaying the delivery schedule. Option B. Immediately stop the vehicle in a safe location, conduct a thorough inspection of the damaged tire and surrounding components, and if the bulge indicates a compromised tire structure that could affect safe operation, take the vehicle out of service until the tire is repaired or replaced. Option C. Reduce speed slightly and continue driving to the nearest service station, hoping the tire will hold up until then. Option D. Pull over to the side of the road and call dispatch to ask for instructions without performing any further inspection of the tire. The correct answer is B. Immediately stop the vehicle in a safe location, conduct a thorough inspection of the damaged tire and surrounding components, and if the bulge indicates a compromised tire structure that could affect safe operation, take the vehicle out of service until the tire is repaired or replaced. Explanation. Scenario analysis. This scenario presents a common challenge for commercial drivers, identifying and responding to potential safety issues during an en route inspection. The driver must balance the need to maintain a schedule with the absolute requirement of ensuring vehicle safety. The challenge lies in accurately assessing the severity of a detected issue and determining the appropriate course of action without compromising safety or violating regulations. This requires a thorough understanding of vehicle components and their potential failure modes, as well as knowledge of the regulatory framework governing commercial vehicle operation. Correct approach analysis. The correct approach involves a systematic and thorough inspection of the identified component, followed by a decision based on the severity of the issue and regulatory requirements. Specifically, if a tire shows signs of damage, a detailed inspection of its condition, including tread depth, sidewall integrity, and any signs of bulges or cuts, is paramount. If the damage compromises the tire's safety or is likely to lead to failure, the driver must take the vehicle out of service until it is repaired or replaced. This aligns with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR, Part 396, which mandates that drivers perform pre-trip, en route, and post-trip inspections and report any defects or deficiencies that could affect the safe operation of the vehicle. The driver's responsibility is to ensure the vehicle is in safe operating condition before and during operation. Incorrect approach is analysis, an approach that involves ignoring or downplaying the visible tire damage, assuming it is minor and will not affect safety, is a direct violation of FMCSR Part 396. This failure to properly inspect and address a potential safety defect creates an immediate hazard to the driver, other motorists, and the public. It demonstrates a lack of professional responsibility and a disregard for regulatory mandates. Another incorrect approach would be to continue operating the vehicle without further inspection or assessment, hoping the issue resolves itself or is not significant. This is negligent and directly contravenes the driver's duty to ensure the vehicle's safe operation. The potential for a tire blowout or other catastrophic failure is high, leading to loss of control and severe accidents. Proceeding to the nearest service station without first conducting a thorough inspection of the tire and assessing its immediate safety impact is also an incorrect approach. While seeking professional repair is eventually necessary if a defect is found, the driver's immediate responsibility is to determine if the vehicle is safe to operate at that moment. Delaying this critical assessment and potentially operating a compromised vehicle is a regulatory failure. Professional reasoning. Professionals in this field must adopt a proactive and safety-first mindset. The decision-making process should always begin with a thorough understanding of the vehicle's critical components and the potential consequences of their failure. When an anomaly is detected during an inspection, the driver must 1. Identify the specific component and the nature of the anomaly. 2. Conduct a detailed inspection of the component to assess the severity of the issue. 3. Consult relevant regulations, e.g., FMCSR, to understand the requirements for operating a vehicle with such a defect. 4. Make a decision based on safety and regulatory compliance. Either continue operation if the defect is minor and poses no safety risk, or take the vehicle out of service if the defect compromises safety. 5. Document all findings and actions taken. This systematic approach ensures that safety is prioritized and regulatory obligations are met, fostering a culture of responsibility and professionalism. Question 20. The audit findings indicate a pattern of incomplete pre-trip driver vehicle inspection, reports DVR, and inconsistent communication logs with dispatch when encountering unexpected delays. During a recent roadside inspection, the driver presented shipping papers that were not fully updated to reflect a last-minute change in cargo destination, which was verbally communicated by dispatch. The inspector noted these discrepancies. Considering the regulatory framework for commercial driver's license combination vehicles, what is the most appropriate course of action for the driver to address these audit findings and prevent future noncompliance? Option A. Focus on ensuring the vehicle is mechanically sound and that the current trip is completed safely, with the understanding that minor documentation discrepancies are often overlooked by inspectors if the driver is otherwise compliant. Option B. Immediately update all DVR and shipping papers to reflect the actual operational status and cargo details. Then proactively communicate with dispatch to establish a standardized protocol for documenting all cargo and route changes, and request a refresher training on proper DVR completion and accident reporting procedures. Option C. Request that dispatch handle all documentation updates directly, as the driver's primary responsibility is operating the vehicle safely and efficiently, and that the audit findings are a reflection of dispatch's administrative shortcomings. Option D. Inform dispatch that the audit findings are a result of operational pressures and that documentation procedures will be followed as time permits, prioritizing on-time delivery over meticulous record keeping. The correct answer is B. Immediately update all DVR and shipping papers to reflect the actual operational status and cargo details. Then proactively communicate with dispatch to establish a standardized protocol for documenting all cargo and route changes, and request a refresher training on proper DVR completion and accident reporting procedures. Explanation: this scenario is professionally challenging because it requires the driver to balance immediate operational needs with strict adherence to regulatory documentation requirements. The driver must make a judgment call under pressure, considering the potential consequences of both delay and noncompliance. Careful judgment is required to ensure safety, legality, and efficient operations. The correct approach represents best professional practice because it prioritizes accurate and complete documentation as mandated by federal regulations for commercial drivers. Maintaining a complete and accurate driver vehicle inspection report, DVR, before and after operation is a fundamental safety and compliance requirement. This ensures that any defects are identified and addressed, preventing potential accidents and mechanical failures. Furthermore, accurately completing shipping papers and communicating effectively with dispatch and law enforcement are critical for operational integrity and legal compliance. An incorrect approach that fails to complete a pre-trip DVR before operating the vehicle represents a significant regulatory failure. This violates the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations, FMCSR, which mandate pre-trip inspections to identify and report safety defects. This failure can lead to operating an unsafe vehicle, risking accidents and violating safety standards. Another incorrect approach, such as providing incomplete or inaccurate shipping papers, can lead to legal penalties, delays in delivery, and potential issues with cargo security or hazardous material compliance. Failing to communicate effectively with dispatch regarding the delay or with law enforcement during a stop can result in misunderstandings, increased scrutiny, and potential citations for non-compliance or obstruction. Professionals should use a decision-making framework that begins with understanding the regulatory requirements for each aspect of their operation. When faced with a time-sensitive situation, the driver must first assess the immediate safety implications of any potential action or inaction. Then, they should prioritize compliance with mandatory documentation and inspection procedures, even if it causes a minor delay. Effective communication with dispatch should be used to explain the situation and seek guidance if necessary, ensuring transparency and collaborative problem-solving. In interactions with law enforcement, honesty, politeness, and providing accurate documentation are paramount.